Board button there too. Oh, I don't see that. Hello, everyone. Uh, Welcome. Steve Stein here uh, on our first StreamYard session with Maria Tabone. And um, yeah, so tonight's session is uh, herbs for cold and flu season. And part B, if we get that far, what seeds do you want to plant? But it's all within the Wisdom Feed Plus um, monthly theme for um, the monthly theme of harvest. So I'm just going to see. So there you go. I'm just going to check a couple of things out. And and I don't know. I'm going to assume we're good. Someone's watching. Great. First person. All right. So Cole, so this tonight is brought to you by Wisdom Feed Plus. The parent company is Better Listen. Wisdom Feed Plus, the goal is to take ancient ideas down to street level. In concert with my New York roots, we try to do things that are practical, taking ancient ideas down to street level. And I constantly think of my friends from Brooklyn. Would it be? Is it evidence based? Is it not so deadly serious that people are going to roll their eyes? And is it, relevant? So I've been doing this for decades, doing audiobooks, and a couple of years ago, I started Wisdom Feed as kind of a blog for our audiobooks at Better Listen. And then we started Wisdom Feed Plus, which is a membership site. And then, 6-7 months ago, I met the wonderful Maria Tabone, and she's our wellness director at Wisdom Feed. And tonight, we're going to talk about herbs for cold and flu season. And if we get to the next level, we might get into, what seeds do we want to plant in our own lives. But Maria is a health professional, a health coach, a clinical herbalist. Wears a lot of different hats, and we're happy to have her here. And and if you're watching live, why don't you put in the chat, put in the chat where you're watching from. And there's my dear friend Barry, who's saying hello. So, and we'll be taking questions. Feel free, as Maria's going, to drop a question in. And all right, welcome, Maria.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone out there. So I'm so grateful you're here. And so here we are again, right? Facing another season, cold, flu, and COVID. So given this, we thought it would be a good topic to, address the start of the fall, how you can support your immune system, to function optimally. According to ancient wisdom traditions like Ayurveda, which I've been practicing for years, that's the medical system from India, we get sick in the winter because in the summer we're outdoors, we're socializing, we're barbecuing, we're running around and just running ourselves ragged, on vacation. Fun stuff, but and sometimes we do too much in the summer, so we push ourselves a little bit too hard and exhaust ourselves, and that can lower our immune function, much like we tend to do during the holiday season. So I know that firsthand, and I'm sure many of you can relate. So getting sick sometimes is a signal, from our body to just slow down, take a breather. And if you neglect rest, your body at some point talks back to you, and it's basically like, okay, if you're not going to rest, I'm going to make you rest. So you get sick and, you're down for a bit. But I think winter really offers a wonderful opportunity to embrace the indoors, or to like that coziness of being in, maybe engage in a little bit of introspection, just joy in being in and taking things a bit easier, So tonight we're going to talk about herbs, but I think it's also important to focus a little bit on, why we get sick, right? What's the root cause of this? Why does the immune system go out of balance and break down? I'm sure you all know, like, some people never got COVID. And I knew friends that just were out, didn't wear a mask, never got COVID. They never get the flu. And other people, somebody else sneezes, 10 steps away from them and they get sick. So while I'm going to share some really effective herbal remedies and even some supplements to bolster your immune system and combat cold and flu, I caution that they can be a Band-Aid also if you really don't address other areas of your life that, that you might need to work on. I've been studying herbs for over 20 years, and I love them because they're medicinal, but they're non-toxic. They can assist the body regain the balance is really what they do. They help the body to do what it's designed to do, which is heal itself. But there's a reason that, we call them supplements too, because they shouldn't be in replacement for something. They shouldn't be a replacement for a healthy lifestyle. They should just be something that, again, just aids your body. So a couple of things I just want to mention before. Steve, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to chime in. And, I've been doing this for decades. And I've recorded Linus Pauling when I was out of school. The dude who did like more vitamin C. People thought that, people were going to die, but he healed people from cancer. Was it anecdotal? But he was a scientist. So I think, in this day and age, everything we do on Wisdom Feed, Better Listen is evidence-based, but I put a lot of credence in anecdotal. And if I hear one person say something anecdotally, that's one thing. But if I hear other people say things anecdotally, maybe there's a trend that science hasn't reported yet. Yeah. So, I don't want to be blind to things, but here we are again. I had half a dozen friends who've had COVID in the last few weeks. A couple of them like a flu, but a couple of them were really down for the count. Yeah. Thankfully, no one in the hospital. So, anyway, so the term dis-ease, I think, stress, everything is stress related. Everyone knows when you get a good night's sleep, you feel better. But now what's wild about all of this is that there's science to back it all up. It's not just intuitive. And I think, and that's why we're streaming to LinkedIn. Part of, we are kind of broadly based, mind, body, spirit, soul. But since, as I said before, we're kind of New York oriented or like practical oriented, we're also looking at taking some of our offerings into the workplace. And Maria is a big part of that process. And so I hope that added a little bit. And anyone who's watching, let us know where you're from. Put in, you can put in a question in the comments. And I'm glad we have a few people put in the comments. So we're going to keep going. So let's go. Keep going there, Maria.
Great. And I'm sorry that you just heard if you're hearing my phone ring, I'm sure it's just a telemarketer.
Happens on CNN, so we're in good company.
So one thing I just, wanted to start out by saying is, before we talk about herbs and something that's very important, and this is to your point too, Steve, about like science being behind things. The quality of your herbs and your supplements is really important. Where you get your herbs from, there's been some talk that people ordering herbs from certain websites like Amazon, they're not getting. I don't know what is happening, but it's not what it's supposed to be. So you have to really be careful. And what I'm going to share with you too is some companies that I, in full disclosure, just have relationships with, in that I buy a lot from them. I recommend because I know their practices are good and their herbs are really pure. But just going to touch on a little bit my first preference of staying healthy. I'm also a functional nutrition coach and a nutritionist. So my first preference is to keep the immune system, functioning optimally, is eating a proper diet, right? So in functional nutrition, which comes from functional medicine. And basically what functional medicine is, it's what they call it root cause medicine, right? It's like using food to get to intervene, to combat illness, but in getting to the root cause of what your problem is, and then work up from there. Ayurveda, which I mentioned before, which is a health philosophy. It's just a philosophy of living life. And it's Ayurveda believes that in this, so if you're on the East Coast or you're Midwest, wherever you're in a colder climate, we're going into the cooler weather, it's good to, how do you balance, right? Well, if you're in a cold climate, you don't want to eat cold food because that's just going to make you colder and worse. So what do? You balance it with warming foods, and vice versa. If you're in a hot climate, then you would maybe eat more salads. But this time of year, what's really good for your system is think stews, think soups, think the wonderful winter squashes, all these foods, they really warm the body and they warm the soul too. I'm sure I'm saying things that a lot of you already know. Eat your greens, eat your colors of the rainbow, kale, collard green, cabbage. Then you go to carrots. It's a great time, as I said, for the different squashes, beans. Just really mix up that diet. You want to, also incorporate things like peppers and garlic, onion, peppers, have a lot of vitamin C, nuts. And I'll talk a little bit about mushrooms, which are wonderful immune boosters. We are finding out they're great for so many things. And don't forget that old-fashioned bowl of chicken soup. And if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, there's great ways to make immune-boosting soups with mushrooms and vegetable broth. So, and of course, the big one, right? Minimize sugar. I'd love to say eliminate it, but I'm a realist. And especially at this time of the year, we've got apple pie and pumpkin pie and all that good stuff. So I think we can set ourselves up to fail by just an all or nothing approach. You just, look, we know sugar's bad. You try to eliminate it, but if you're going to have a little bit, fine, choose things that are preferably on the healthier side, maybe a little honey. Teas are also great this time of year. I'm going to talk about a couple of those as we go on. And I think Steve mentioned something before about, getting a good night's sleep, which I find with a lot of my clients, sleep's a big problem, for so many different reasons. But trying to go to bed and rising at the same time, turning off all your devices, we know, we've heard these things over and over again, but they're really, really important. And especially for sleep, at least 3 hours before bed, don't have anything to eat, and of course, minimizing stress. Like that's just a blanket statement. That's like, okay, minimizing stress. How do I do that? Slowing down, maybe trying to bring some meditation into your life, taking a break from your devices and, just TV and everything in general.
And that's one of the things we're doing at Wisdom Feed and Wisdom Feed Plus. We're fortunate to have been working over the years with John Kabat-Zinn and years ago Deepak Chopra, Gloria Steinem, but also a lot of the pioneers of stress reduction, Saki Santorelli, Dr. Emmett Miller, real pioneer. And like what I said before, when there's themes, another theme, anecdotal from friends is one thing, but I would frequently record best-selling authors or up-and-coming voices, and they would start to say the same things.
Yep.
And now all this is science-backed. And so one of the things, Maria wears a lot of hats. She's working, at Duke University doing the health coach program there, but she's a clinical aromatherapy person. I love that. Who does?
I know you always mention that. Like it's funny. Because
the last thing I would think of clinical is aromatherapy, and aromatherapy has a big part of herbs, right? Isn't that?
Well, sure. I mean, it's the plant world, right? Steve, I just want to correct you. I did the Duke coaching program. I don't work there, but I did the coaching program for health and wellness. Just for full disclosure. But aromatherapy. I mean, I'm also an herbalist, so it's all of the plant world, all of the wonderful plants that we're just connected to innately. and that really nourish us. But to your point, it just off the top of my head, one of the herbs I'm going to talk about, and I have my tea right here, is turmeric. There's over 10,000 studies have been done on turmeric. So, even though these herbs have been used in India and some in China forever, where the studies now here have been done on them and all positive for what they can do. So I think that's one of the great things that's happened over the years. To your point, is it's that being backed by science now.
And turmeric, it's weird taste. I mean, I've had it a few times. It's just, I mean, how do I get over that? I mean, I'm being practical.
Yeah, no, okay. So I have my little turmeric tea here. If now I love all my herbs just naturally, but you can put some honey in it. It'll change everything. Wait until you don't want to do that when it's too hot, because you'll kill all the wonderful properties and the nutrients in the honey. But just wait until it cools off a little bit and put some honey in it. So
And
that's something.
and is honey a better source of sugar than than other types of sugar?
Yeah, it's still sugar, right? But what it won't, it has a lot of nutrients in it. So if you're going to do that, then honey and even molasses, which is also sugar, I mean, they work in your body similarly, but they have more nutrients. So if you're going to choose a sugar that's healthier, and then honey, if you have local honey, that's supposedly very good for allergies. So there are benefits to it. And then if you have a sore throat, I mean, the benefits of honey are just endless. So, if you're going to choose, then I would choose that. The other thing I wanted to touch on, I mentioned mushrooms. So we know so much about mushrooms now, and they're getting into more science, which is a whole nother topic on psychedelics. But these are mushrooms you can eat, whether it's the shiitake, the maitake, the reishi. They all have immune boosting properties, and they're good for just so many things. So my advice would be incorporate them into your diet as best you can. The next thing is digestion. So many people have issues with digestion, and we know that your immune system, is in your gut. Right, 70% of your immune system's in your gut. So it's really important to make sure that gut health, for a number of reasons, that your gut is functioning, and you have a healthy gut. So you really want to address that, and just be sure to just incorporate different foods. Of course, organic when you can. I know that's not always possible, but do the best you can with that. There are some other things that you can also, for digestion, you can do. If you're not vegetarian, some bone broth is really helpful for it. We'll go through some supplements, but pay attention to how you feel when you're eating and what bothers you, what doesn't. Sometimes you have to do an elimination from certain things. You've heard many people eliminate dairy and they eliminate gluten. They just take it out of the diet for 4 weeks or so and just see how they feel, and then slowly reintroduce to see, okay, is that a problem? So you just have to really go according to how you feel. So let's get into some herbs. So the first one I want to talk about is astragalus. Now, before I want to say, before I go into any of these, of course, you always should consult your doctor, because there are certain herbs that can interact with medicine that you might be taking. I think it's important to just let your doctor know when you're going to try something, because herbs are medicinal. If you're taking them in pill form or tincture form, like if you're having some rosemary in your potatoes, or that's fine, or you're having some tea, but you want to be conscious because the herbs are more concentrated. And I always, mention to buy them organic when you can. I like tinctures. Let me just bring a little tincture over here. Yep, these little bottles, tinctures that sometimes they're alcohol based, but if that's an issue, you can get them water based. And you can mix them with juice or some water. So astragalus. This is a Chinese herb that I just happen to have here that is antiviral and it has immune boosting properties. It actually increases the activity of our white cells that are responsible for killing viruses. So this has really been long used. It's actually been used for cancer patients to help restore their immune system. So this is what astragalus looks like. You can see that. Here, if you can see my jar. What I do with this is I will, just boil it in water and then make a tea out of it. I'm not suggesting that you go to all this trouble if you want it easy.
And is that a root or a tuber or some esoteric thing? Is it like harvested anywhere, or where does it grow?
That's a good question. I'm not quite sure where it's actually.
What family of, is it a herb?
This root, I'm sorry, this is a root, and it's a member of the pea family.
Okay.
And, yeah, long used in Chinese medicine. So, but you can find it in tea form, you can find it in tincture form, which is what I recommend because I want you to do whatever's easier for you, right? So, very easy to get. Once you look for it, you'll see that you'll find it everywhere. You can even, what I mentioned about an immune boosting soup, if you want to get some, depending on if you're vegetarian or if you're not, you can either put this in your chicken soup or whatever soup you have. And while you're making the soup and it's cooking in the broth, you can put like 3 of these in there. And so you'll have this wonderful immune boosting soup when you're done.
So kind of like a bay leaf. A bay leaf is in a soup.
And exactly.
It's out of place. What the heck is that doing there? Because you're not going to really eat it. Are you going to eat the astragalus?
No, you're going to take this out. When the soup is done, you're going to take it out. The sticks actually look like, you remember Good Humor ice cream, like the sticks?
Okay.
That's what this looks like. So once the soup is done,
Barry, who's watching, he knows from
he knows the Good Humor sticks, the Good Humor trunk.
And so that's a question. So is a lot of sugar in a good humor, but if you are in the sun and you only have one, is there any, or sugar is bad? I mean, I said the same thing to you. What's that?
I said that's weak. Are you trying to make an argument for having some good humor? You know what?
Yeah, well, it's like
once in a while. Go ahead.
Once in a while. Okay, thanks. I'll tell my doctor that.
If you have it in 5 days a week, that's a problem.
Okay, I'm talking about on a hot day in the summer.
Oh, it's nothing better, right?
Okay. A little astragalus. I don't think you find astragalus in the Good Humor truck.
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay, we digress. I'm sorry.
We digress. The other next one is echinacea, which most people have probably heard of echinacea. Also stimulates the immune system, can act as an antibiotic. It's when you feel a cold coming on, echinacea is really helpful. Now, just caution, if you're allergic to ragweed, you might have an issue with echinacea. It's in the same family. So, when you start getting those sniffles, have a cup of echinacea tea. You can have the tincture as well. And studies have found that this shortens the duration of a cold. So, but again, there could be contraindications. Some studies say that it could disrupt some bacteria in the digestive tract, but you're not going to drink it forever. So if you're feeling this cold coming on, then you start with your echinacea tea or tincture. And then the next one is elderberry. I'm sure elderberry syrup has become very popular now. I love making my own. It's very easy, but there are really good brands of elderberry syrup out there. I like Honey Gardens, actually, that you can readily buy. It's really good for, stopping a cold or the flu, and it helps to speed up your recovery time. I make my own with honey, and I put ginger and turmeric in there too, or I'll just have it sometimes as a tea. And I tend to drink that or take a little teaspoon of that throughout the winter. I take a teaspoon of it every day, just as kind of a, just as a preventative. So, but the syrup you can find the syrup everywhere. And other things, simple things, garlic, right? Eat your garlic and eat it if you can raw. The best way to do it to really release all those great properties of garlic is to chop it, leave it for 10 minutes on the counter, and then try to eat it raw. I mean, that's the best way to really get the benefits from it. I always say, well, maybe you can put it on a cracker, or have it in pesto, right? It's delicious and really, really helpful. The other one is ginger. So ginger is really good for sinus and chest congestion. It's also great for nausea. It's very good digestive aid. And I like to make big batches of ginger tea so I can just have it. But you can make that with fresh ginger, with like maybe 4 inches of a fresh ginger into some water, and then just boil it a bit. But there are many ginger teas out on the market. You can even use powdered ginger, which is much more concentrated. And add a little honey to that. Ginger tea with some honey is really delicious. There's something in Ayurveda that we call it's Chyawanprash. And what it is, and I can put this actually in the chat, it's a traditional Ayurvedic herbal jam. And it's made with a lot of herbs that really help the body fight against stress and support a healthy immune system. Because if you think about it, you get sick, right? We all hear stress suppresses your immune system, and it does. So what you want to do is watch your stress, and maybe just if you can take things that will help with your stress. And Chyawanprash is delicious. It's an herbal jam, like I said. You can put it on. Let me just put that word in the comments. You can put it on bread or crackers or whatever you're having. For some reason, I can't put anything in this chat. All right. Steve will have to figure that out.
Let's see.
I'm in the comments.
Yeah, if you click on the right side for comments, you should be able to see that. And then on the bottom. But while you're looking for that, just to let you know that this is part of Wisdom Feed Plus, which is a community, a wellness community that we're building, and taking ancient ideas down to street level, but also I've always called it stress less and smile more. But a marketing person said you should do it the opposite way. You should say stress, instead of starting with stress less, you start with whatever it is. But that's what our goal is, to get practical info. And I'm glad that we're recording this, and it'll be in the membership, and it'll be for a couple of days on these channels, it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, and there we go. RF, our friend RF Daniel. I take 3 tinctures daily, one of which is elderberry. I take them morning. Let's put that up there, because that's a good. I take them in the morning before my breakfast. Is there a best time of day to take tinctures?
No, I mean, I actually like taking them in the morning. Unless you're taking a tincture that could be stimulating, which elderberry is not. You don't want to take them before bed. But I think taking in the morning is fine. Yeah, that's wonderful. It's elderberry is great. I'm a big fan. Did you see that I in the community chat of the Chyawanprash, you put that in there?
So this is the first time we're using this platform. So on the right, it says private chat on the bottom. And if you go above that, it should say comments. That's where.
Right. But I'm not, for some reason, the comments is grayed out for me. I can only enter into the private chat.
You're on the platform for 4 minutes and you're banned already? Come on.
It kicked me right off.
Just send it to me in the private chat. I'll be happy to post it.
The next one I want to chat about is, everyone knows about this, and I have my tea right here, is turmeric, right? So there's been so many studies done on turmeric from the immune system. It helps purify the blood. It's an antioxidant. It's good for inflammation, strengthens digestion, good for your skin, good for your brain health. I mean, it's serious. But like any herb, if you're taking high doses, like that's where I say to people, check with your doctor, because what some people tend to do is, well, it's an herb, it's natural. I can just, the more is better. It's not always better. It's just, you should just take the right dosage of things. Again, teas and tinctures, you follow the directions on the bottle, or capsules, but just be careful about, not ODing on these things. So turmeric is really wonderful. I try to have a cup of turmeric every day. You can even have a green tea, matcha tea, also really good for the immune system. Sage, I don't know, everyone sages their home, right? It kind of purifies the air and releases negative energy. But sage is a lovely tea, and we use it in Ayurveda as an expectorant. It really helps to expel mucus from the respiratory tract. So I actually had a very bad case of COVID about a year and a half ago, and I drank a lot of sage tea because a lot of it was in the chest, and that was really, really helpful. The other one is Steve.
I have a question. Sorry to bother you, but you're talking about sage, and I'm Jewish, but I like Native American ceremonies, and many times they burn sage to kind of purify the. Is there any science to that? It smells good, like
Yeah,
it's like an aromatherapy, but I like burning sage as well.
yeah, yeah. When you're talking about science, burning sage is really like a practice known as smudging, right? So it's been a ritual that's been used by various cultures for centuries, and the smoke is believed to have like different purposes: spiritual cleansing, purification, clearing negative energy. It's used in cleansing rituals. I don't know if there's science behind it, but here's an example, like you were talking before. This is something that wisdom traditions have been doing for thousands of years. So for me, that's good enough science, for that. Like something that you're ingesting, like I said, turmeric. Now they've been doing the tests. They've been doing research on it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, got it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. And that's kind of back to the anecdotal.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and anecdotal over centuries is is
Yeah.
powerful.
It's pretty, to me, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good track record.
Efficacious, right? It's efficacious.
Yeah. And I feel
Scientifically, I don't know, but
right. But what's the harm in sage in your house, with a little sage? And I think sometimes, I do believe in the placebo effect. And that's something that's also been proven many times in science, in hospital settings, that sometimes if you think something's going to work, it does. It's the power of the mind, right? Steve, you've been doing this forever. You know that better than anyone, right? The power of the mind, how powerful the mind is.
and not only and the mind, and Barry, if you're still there, the power of mind in sports. I'm a sports person, and
Mhm.
and peak performance in the boardroom, on the court. It's very much connected with stress reduction. It's which you can't be on the court if you're sick, or you can, but there's a lot of connection between like being in the zone, being healthy,
Mhm.
and it's like, and it's part of the New Yorker in me, and in the workplace, like insurance companies, like we work with Dean Ornish. Now he's been doing this plant-based treatment of heart disease. He's a surgeon, and so now I believe, if I'm correct, that you could get his program as part, insurance will cover it.
Yeah.
So that's not by accident. That's
Right.
because it's proven it's saving someone money somewhere.
Right.
Even though they're not prescribing a drug at all necessarily, but the fact that it's anecdotally helps, but now there's science backing it up. You won't be sick as much. You won't miss work as much. So I think that's part of the practicality of this. I'm always looking for, what's
Yeah.
practical, and what's legit science, and not necessarily just, you know,
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, like even behind Dean Ornish's program, right? A lot of it's food, right? What you're eating, and it's in some ways it's common sense. It's just that it wasn't focused on as much as it's been, like, I don't know, maybe in the last 10 or 15 years, on how important what you put into your body is. You're talking about all these plants and all these foods that have all these nutrients that sustain you. So now we're finding out, yeah, that really, really matters. You can change your health. You can change so many things about your health. You can reduce inflammation, your stress, your cognitive ability. So yeah, thankfully that's all changed, and we're learning more and more about it. Um, so on to the next herb. So tulsi, which is also an highly revered herb in India, which is also called holy basil. Um, Another good tea for, I like to drink it as a tea, but you can take it as in capsule form also and in tinctures. It really helps the upper respiratory tract. It promotes circulation and really good for digestion. It helps the body also to retain a normal body temperature. So if you have a fever, it's good. And again, good for the immune system. And really, I love tulsi tea. I make a lot of tulsi tea. Um, so tulsi in Ayurveda is what they call very sattvic in nature.
How do
And
you spell that?
Tulsi. So it's tulsi is a tea that we refer to as sattvic, which means it has a really calming attitude. It elevates awareness, provides us with mental clarity and a balanced mind. So it's a really beautiful tea. And when you take tulsi and ginger together, these two herbs, they work synergistically to support the immune system, and they taste, and it's delicious. So you can, and even the chyawanprash that I mentioned before, that herbal jam, I'll sometimes throw it in tea, almost like you throw honey in tea, and it really it tastes lovely. um, so so talk about the immune system, right? The stress will weaken the immune system, right? We all know that. So the other thing to think about is an herb or foods that will kind of mitigate stress. So there's an Ayurvedic herb, many of you may have heard of this one, called ashwagandha. And it's an herb that's called an adaptogen. And what the adaptogenic herbs are, they help your body adapt, right? Adaptogens to stress and bring the body into balance, help you deal with stress. Ashwagandha also helps support like your sleep cycles. It helps you calm down at night, but it doesn't, if you take it during the day, it doesn't make you sleepy. But when you're drinking it at night, it just has a calming effect. It has a balancing effect, but also helps with the immune system. And this is a ashwagandha you can take long term. I think I also mentioned green tea, and there's also another tea I like that has antiviral effects is licorice. Is a nice tea. Licorice can also be very soothing to the digestive system. So you see how all of these things, like all these teas, they work together. Well, they help your immune system, they help the digestive system where the immune system sits. So they're beneficial all around to the system as a whole. And I think we have to look at the whole system always. Steve always talks about with all his guests about mind, body, spirit, and how important looking at the whole is, which is what functional medicine does too.
I have a personal question. So we're out of chamomile tea,
Okay.
and I drank a little too much coffee today. So I'm out of chamomile tea. What else might I have that can help me? Kind of turmeric?
If you want to take something that's calming, right? A calming tea. Well, you probably don't have any tulsi in the house, but you can also, there are teas, lavender, but I don't know. What have you got in the house?
That's a good question. Like mint is not a good thing to go to sleep. That
No, and I mean mint.
And one thing that I find is that you could buy mint tea, and some of it has actual black tea in it with mint. Some of it is only mint. So, and if you don't read the label, the one with the black tea in it, that's definitely going to keep you up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maria, since we changed the format, maybe you could pull your laptop up a little, just so your head's a little higher on the screen.
Oh, why I look like my head is cut off? Is that better?
I changed the settings. It's the first time that's better.
Oh, okay. No, it's good. Okay.
Because we're having comments, and I want to be able. I got to do the same, actually. Here you go.
Oh wait, now my.
So I could read this question. So what he asked, I agree with you, Maria. Absolutely. The power of the mind is the major factor and central element in spiritual, ritual, and traditional healing recipes, which in many cases, things work scientifically, and in many cases, it has a placebo effect. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
No, absolutely. That's Wahid, that's great insight. It's true. And we don't think about that as much as we should, how powerful our mind is,
And then he
Um,
says, I tried ashwagandha and maca, and I
mhm.
felt the difference in energy, especially it's combined with yoga or some type of exercise. Well, thanks. These are brilliant questions. Where
Yeah.
are you typing in from? I'm just curious, if you don't want to say for
Mhm.
whatever reason, don't, but
Yeah.
we really appreciate you jumping in.
Yeah.
And there's another.
I'm curious to know, like, because I think was it a calming effect? Like you felt difference in your energy? Was it right from Staten Island? I know Wahid. I didn't want to say it unless he was
Okay. So he's a ringer.
welcome, my friend.
He's a ringer.
Um,
Thank you. Good question.
yeah, but
And then Jonathan has a question, and he just tuned in. Any benefits with lemongrass?
oh yeah, I mean lemongrass. There's so many herbs, right? To touch on all of them, but lemongrass also has a lot of vitamins and minerals that can support the immune system. It has a lot antioxidants. It's rich in vitamin C and potassium and magnesium. So it can reduce inflammation and blood pressure. So it's definitely a great tea. And yes, for the immune system, you can also use that. And it's also calming. So it has some anti-anxiety properties
So
as
if I
well.
have some lemongrass, I could try that tonight.
Yeah. You have some?
We have a
Yeah.
million different things. So I don't know
Yeah.
what we have. Might be 11 years old, but we might.
Oh,
Oh,
no, 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 no. That's got to go, Steve.
just kidding.
Got to go.
Okay, so this is good. So
Yeah.
what else you got for us?
What else? So I also want to touch on some natural antibiotics. And again, I'm not saying don't take your doctor's advice, take your antibiotics. You have to do what you feel comfortable, but these won't disturb your gut flora. But grapefruit seed extract is actually a natural antibiotic. And oil of oregano is, oregano, it's very, very concentrated. It tastes awful. Some people say they'll take 1 drop a day as just a preventative in the winter, but this is it's considered a natural antibiotic, and people swear by it to ward off like colds and flu. And then there's also some supplements that I wanted to touch on. So probiotics, and this was interesting. Um, Probiotics. I'm sorry, my screen is going wonky here.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Robert, who I think is my cousin that I haven't been in
You,
touch
you think is your cousin?
in 20 years, you know, but we were like once removed cousins. But anyway, he asks, how about chaga mushroom tea for the immune system?
Ooh, good one. Yes, I'm definitely. So chaga is also another mushroom that, again, rich in antioxidants. It's an immune system supporter, anti-inflammatory. Eat your mushrooms, drink your mushrooms. I'm all about the mushrooms. That chaga actually, is good for heart health. Like, it is amazing the benefits that one thing can have multiple benefits. So yes, absolutely.
And,
With chaga.
we're fortunate we do some work with Dr. Joel Furman, and he has a thing called G bombs. And I can go through
I'm
uh,
sorry, Steve, G bombs?
G bombs.
Okay.
It's an acronym,
Yeah.
and but the M is mushrooms. So so he's like big on all kinds of mushrooms. And chaga is a mushroom.
Mm.
Now
Yeah.
people drink. I've had it like similar to coffee, but it does. Is it a
Ah.
stimulant at all, or?
No, no, no. No, I drink actually, um, I drink like a lot of mushroom tea, which I like in place of coffee during the day. Lion's mane, yes, Robert. I love lion's mane. I've been taking it for a year for some cognitive memory, brain. Just they're doing and speaking of that, they're doing a lot of studies on that for well, you know, Paul Stamets, he's the mushroom guy.
Right, right.
He has a line of supplements. Hold on.
Yeah, I went to Evergreen.
Defense, and here is my lion's mane that I take every day.
Okay, so why is it called lion's mane?
Well, that's a good question. Well, think of about
What
the
is a
how.
lion's mane? Is a lion's mane like his beard, the beard of a lion kind of thing?
Yeah, the mushroom itself. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe it looks like a lion's something.
Okay, I'm just curious. I asked too many questions. Sorry to.
No, it's okay. Hey, this is a discussion. But I just wanted to throw out probiotics to everyone because, again, if you have issues with your gut, I mean, I prefer that we do things naturally, right? Have some, if you're not allergic to dairy, have some preferably raw milk or raw kefir or some sauerkraut, have some probiotic foods. But some people, it's not enough and you need a good probiotic. And I subscribe to this site called Consumer Labs, which is an independent lab run by a doctor in Westchester County, and he tests everything. He tests all these supplements. So I've been subscribed to that over the years, and I really trust him. He said that the top pick for a probiotic, and I was very surprised at this, is the Costco Kirkland brand of probiotics.
Now, is that refrigerated? Because I always understood that the probiotics that are refrigerated are better. But
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I don't think so, but I'm not really sure. But yeah,
the Kirkland brand. Wow, look at that.
and the Kirkland multivitamin, and they also have a vegan, I think. No, I'm sorry, the Kirkland doesn't have a vegan multivitamin, but they said the Kirkland multivitamin is also very highly rated. So I thought
Who
that
said this?
this Consumer Labs, it's an independent
Interesting.
testing for supplements, because you would be surprised. There are some very expensive supplements out there that say that they have certain things in them and a certain amount of, and they don't. So it's good to know. It's good to know what you're taking. But so yeah, I would probiotics. You want to look for lactobacillus, and I always have this bifidobacterium. Those would probably need to be refrigerated because they're live. So, but have your yogurt, your plain yogurt, milk and cheese, again, preferably raw. So if you can tolerate them, which will help. And we all know vitamin C, right? Vitamin C is good for colds and flu. Also vitamin D3, right? Many people are deficient, especially in the winter because we're not getting out in the sun. So that's another thing you might want to supplement with. And I think, what I want to do, I can put in if I can get it in the chat, I wanted to share there is a supplement, one of my favorite supplements for immunity. And I think
Send it over to me. I'll post it.
Okay. I'm going to send these links. I'm going to send these links over, but let me just hold it up here if you can see it. It's by this company, Banyan Botanicals, does mostly Ayurvedic herbs. They're wonderful. I've been buying their herbs for years. This is called Immune Strong, and it has it has the holy basil I mentioned, the tulsi, it has turmeric, it has licorice, it has ashwagandha, it has echinacea, and it has amla, which is a fruit. And in Ayurveda, it is known, it has more vitamin C than an orange. So this is a really wonderful, I've been taking 2 of them a day, just this as starting last week. I'm going to post a link to that. Let me see if I can do that. And there's a disc. I'm going to give you a discount code too if anybody wants anything from them. Okay, Steve, I just sent that to you.
All right. Not seeing it. Did you put it in the comment?
I know I sent it to you because it's the only way I can do it.
In the, I
Private
have.
chat, you have to just transfer it.
Did you
So
hit? Did you
kimchi,
hit?
yeah.
I don't.
Robert, kimchi is great. You didn't see it? Oh wait, I didn't hit send. Maybe that's why.
It's okay. It's a new platform. It's amazing we're doing this well.
Um, so kimchi, yes, excellent probiotic. And Wahid, I agree. Herbs and superfoods can't do miracles if you that's true. If you don't clean up your diet and really make a lifestyle change to take out the junk and the toxic food. And yes, agreed also, consistency is really important. It's you can't just do something for a week. It's a journey, it's a process to really go detox, clean out your body, and then add things. I think being mindful too. Steve, we talk a lot about mindfulness. I think about being very mindful when you sit down and have a meal and say, is this going to nourish me or is this going to be toxic to my body? And just thinking about that when you're eating. I mean, how many people eat on the run, eat in your car, eat at the computer, eat while you're watching TV or the news and getting aggravated? It's not a good environment for, just to build health. So I do think it's really, really important to do these things. Make them like it has to be a lifestyle. Has to be a lifestyle.
Right. So that's what we're looking to do at Wisdom Feed is kind of like
Yep.
a lifestyle brand, but practical, fun, efficacious, and one of the things that we're doing, we're building a kind of a database of micro practices. We call it try this at home. They say don't try this at home. These are things to try at home that take 2 or 3 minutes that just get you self-regulated. That's a new word. Never 2 years ago that word didn't exist. But it's the same idea. It's stress reduction. It's wellness and and what Janet says, it's there. What's there? Robert likes, I love Banyan Botanicals.
Oh, yeah. It's when Janet too. So the newer fermented probiotics don't need to be refrigerated. Yeah, that's a good point. I've seen a lot of them on the market that don't need to be because I think it's much easier for people, right, to just have them on the counter. Otherwise, you forget to take them if they're in the refrigerator.
Also,
that was always my problem.
That's the thing, and we happen to be going to Costco in the morning, so it's good timing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at the comments. Yes, Robert, Banyan has an assessment, right? You can do your Ayurvedic assessment on the Banyan website.
Well,
so yeah, so that's that's about it. I hope that was helpful to everyone.
Now that was great, and I would say this is pretty awesome that look, we got all this conversation going, and from LinkedIn, from YouTube, from Facebook. I think it's on. My guess is Wahid found it on your Facebook page. So this is great, and we will post a link, and this will be up maybe for a week, maybe for a couple of days. We'll be up here on all the different platforms, and we'll post links. Eventually, it will be in the Wisdom Feed group, and we like to give you an idea in the Wisdom Feed private community. But we have Beryl Bender Birch, best-selling yoga author. She's doing a course on the path to your purpose, finding your dharma. Everyone is trying to find direction in this Meshuggah world. I think that's a technical term, Meshuggah world.
That's a technical term.
And she's just a pleasure. She did a great course a couple months ago, actually, on boosting the immune system. And she did a lot of research on the green zones. So it's a great 3-part course on the strengthening your immune system. And she's a yoga expert, so there's a lot of yoga aspect in that. But we had a thing the other day with John Kabat-Zinn, and meditation challenge, and we're doing some summits. So if you wherever you're watching, if you just want to put the term uh, wellness, we will DM you a link to our free wellness toolkit. And Maria, how can people find you?
Oh, sure. So I am, my website is theholisticroot.com. And you can reach me at maria@theholisticroot.com if you have any questions or, anything. I'm always happy to love talking about all this stuff. Always happy to answer any questions.
Right. Robert says, nice show. Thank you very much. James says
Thank you.
the coupon is there. And Robert, I will DM you. It's been a long time, but it's good to see you live and kicking and still into all this stuff. And
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
right. So this is great. So I think we're going to sign off and to be continued. Thanks everyone for showing up, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Steve.
Cuz, there's my cuz. All right, cuz. It's been a while. All right, all the best.